All right, Charles McFall back again. We're going to try this again because life, right? Because that's what happens. One day something works, the next day it doesn't work, and there's no telling why it doesn't work. It just doesn't. But I got everything seems to be streaming fine right now, so there you go. I'm going to share this again. Nope. I need to do this way. Sorry for the hiccups and sorry for this, but this is kind of what EMS is all about, right? It's about flowing with the punches. We're going to talk about that today. I started to get into Newton EMS, so I'll go over as I reshare this what I am talking about. So Newton Piedmont is a private hospital, and it bought Newton General Hospital, which has Newton EMS, and is county supported, right? So I was going through quickly. If it's county run, an EMS service is county run, the county pays for all of it. All the taxes go there. That's done. The entire budget comes out taxes. When it's privatized, as in National EMS running Rockdale County, I know there's a stipend. They agree to do it for a smaller budget because they're also going to get the contracts to do all the non-emergency calls from the hospitals and whatnot and make money that way as well. So while the county supports them, it's not fully funded by the county. With the hospital, it's the same kind of thing. I'm not sure how the budget might change, but the county supported the hospital with tax money. And Tom calls me up and says Piedmont's not going to do it anymore because the county decided it wasn't going to pay them anymore. So here is a news story from the Rockdale Newton Citizen. Piedmont Newton to suspend EMS support due to county funding cut. And I'm going to skim through it here. Piedmont Newton employees were notified this past Monday that the hospital would no longer provide emergency medical service to Newton County due to funding cut by the Newton County Board. During the fiscal year 2018 budget process, commissioners have indicated they'll take this money, which has been earmarked for EMS and county tax bills, and put it into the county's maintenance and operation millage. So approximately 40 employees will be affected by this. Then the CEO of the hospital came out and said, going forward, Georgia's Office of EMS and Trauma will be responsible for assigning ambulance services. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about, unless I'm going to talk from my knowledge, okay? If I'm wrong, it's because I'm missing a piece of information. But when I was a full-time paramedic active in the field, nobody assigned anybody anything ever. There are offices of EMS, and they are over certain counties, so different ambulance services answer to different offices. But when I went through school, at least, there were at least 2 counties in Georgia that had no EMS service. And it's up to each county to provide its own service or to work out an agreement with the county next to it. So I think this is totally ignorant unless something has changed to somehow the Georgia Office of EMS, and he says, and Trauma, which might be a new name. I don't know. And I wish Tom really wanted to be here to talk about it, and that would have been very helpful because I could have asked. But somehow the Georgia Office of EMS got supreme control over everything, and they get to dictate who's in what county. This is a very ignorant statement. But he says, going forward, the Georgia Office of EMS and Trauma will be responsible for assigning ambulance services to the Newton County area. God, I just can't read that and not get mad. National already does 911 for Athens. I know that National, from the last time I checked, is in Rockdale County, Morgan County, I believe Oconee County, Clark County. I want to say there's another one perhaps I saw somewhere else as well that they do the 911 service for. It is more than likely they'll be the 911 service for Newton County because, one, they're a great service. Two, they have shown a really good job of doing these counties over and over again. Otherwise, they're private. Their contract comes up. It doesn't have to be renewed. They get kicked out. I think, statistically speaking, they'll probably take over Newton. However, I'm going to skip this ignorant-ass comment because it pisses me off. But basically, they're going through a transition. So here's the breakdown from what I understand from the news story and what I was told. The county commissioners who decide where the money goes, right? You as an individual in Newton County vote for the commissioners, and you can vote on certain taxable things like to raise taxes sometimes, depends on the system. But that's it. You elect your representative. You go to the meetings. You say your piece. You can yell, scream, whatever. I don't know. They might kick you out. I've seen the ones in Atlanta where they get into fist fights, and, that's how sometimes that goes. But you can go to the meetings as a citizen and say your voice and say, this is what we want. But at the last meeting, they decided they didn't want to fund the county. Newton County itself did not want to fund EMS anymore. They just didn't want to pay for it. They're going to use it. I heard, now there's no official statement. I heard they wanted to put it into firefighters and police officers to give them a raise because they hadn't had a raise in 8 years. So this is just bad money management, because I'm all for firefighters getting a raise. I am all for police officers getting a raise, especially if you hadn't had one in 5 years. And please, there's no phone line, right? But you can indeed type in the comments right here on Facebook. Feedback. Let me know if I'm missing a piece of information. Just let me know what you think about what's going on, especially if you work for Newton EMS right now. I'd love to know your thoughts on the transition and how it's going, because I'm an outsider. I don't have the inside information, so I'm going to speak from what I know. So please, if I say something wrong, absolutely correct it. And two, add your perspective from the inside. If you can speak. This would be considered media. So if you will not get fired for speaking to media, by all means comment. If you will get in trouble for speaking to media, please refrain, because this is unarguable. It's social media. It's out there in the world, and it is a live show that people are going to be watching for a while. So this would be considered speaking to the press, okay, just for that record. Otherwise, if you are free to speak, I'd love to hear your stuff. So the county said, that's what I heard. Now, again, no official statement in the newspapers that I can legally report going, oh, so this is just a rumor that they were trying to do it. Okay, if that's the truth, if the truth is you're trying to take EMS money and give raises to paramedics and firefighters, that's bad money management, because that's never, ever, ever been in the budget that way. And if you can't afford to give them raises, you're managing your money incorrectly somehow, some way. You haven't planned good budgets. You haven't planned for growth. You haven't planned as a county. You haven't planned. You haven't looked at the big picture. I don't know. Some county commissioners get little bits of money. I know in Jasper County it wasn't much. Some county commissioners get a lot of money. Are they voting themselves raises? These are things you need to be asking as a citizen of Newton County, of Covington City, of Mansfield, I think is in Newton County. I know there's another. Oxford is Walton County, I think, maybe. But you need to be going and asking these questions, going, what the hell are you doing with our money? Because I don't care. When I say I don't care, I have no dog in the fight if it's a privatized EMS service that comes in, if the county takes over itself, which it's not going to do. The fire department apparently has been adamant about they don't want EMS to manage it, to budget it, to have to be responsible for it. They don't want EMS ever. So your two choices are the hospital runs it or a private company comes in at this point. And I got to close the story because I keep seeing that stupid line. I know I can scroll up. Okay, I'll scroll up. I keep seeing that stupid line about sign. Nobody signs EMS anything. It's why your stupid hospital. Oh, that dude. Lots of issues. I'm going to sidestep it right now. This isn't the Rock God of Podcasting. This is the EMS Underground. So I've got to keep in mind I'm representing the school. I need to speak to the education of things and help people understand what's going on. Bad money management is what's going on. You're taking it and putting it back into your budget for whatever reasons they are. That's crap. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think the hospital's like, oh yeah, we're going to eat that $1.7 million that the county was giving them? Now that's not the entire EMS budget. The EMS budget, I want to say, was in the $2 to $3 million range. I don't remember, to be honest. And I could be mistaken. Because I've worked with a bunch of different places. I've talked to a bunch of different people at different times, including currently, and I don't have all the ins and outs of everything. But I want to say that the fiscal discussions for the 2018 budget, Piedmont had asked for continuing funding for EMS from the county this year, totaling $1.7 million going into the next fiscal year, which starts next month or the end of next month, something like that. Depends on the place, but usually it's in July. And the commissioners have been clear that they did not intend to continue to levy millage. I think that's a fancy word for taxes. It's M-I-L-L-A-G. It's not mileage. It is millage. I know I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I'm not sure exactly how it relates to taxes. But basically, they've been clear they did not intend to continue to levy millage to support EMS. So basically, the commissioners, for whatever this year, went, nope, we're not going to pay for ambulances anymore. That is literally the translation from the quote in the article. They decided it wasn't going to happen. These are your representatives. They don't care what happens next. And I guarantee you, whatever private service comes in will be for a budget from the county. Now, maybe they can do it for less than $1.7 million. Maybe. I have no idea. Because I know, like I said, National gets they called it a stipend. It wasn't a full budget from the counties that they're in. They get a stipend because they also have in their contract written that all the local hospitals, because some places have more, like Athens has Athens Regional and St. Mary's. But when they come and take over a county 911 service, it's all of the local hospitals call us first for non-emergency transport. And because that is how they make their budget. That is how they can afford to give you a cheaper ambulance service. It's kind of like when you sign up for a free service and there's ads. You sign up for that Candy Crush game and you got to watch an ad to play the next thing. Or you're watching, Hulu doesn't do free anymore, but you're watching CW. You can get the CW app or NBC app or the Fox app for free on your tablet, and you can watch, and you're going to watch commercials because that's how they pay for the service to give you the free TV. That's kind of how EMS works, except they do need part of a budget. So I don't know what's going to happen next. Again, if you've got comments, you've got things to add to the conversation, by all means, throw this in. My questions are, when is this going to happen? Because according to this, no specific date has been set. They're going to discuss commissioners were set to discuss EMS provider and transition period at a special called meeting at the night of this publishing, which was, trying to see, June 3rd, 2 days ago. This was 2 days ago. I don't see a follow-up. I'd love to see some kind of follow-up link. When I searched it online, it didn't do anything for me. They only brought this up from 2 days ago, so I don't have an updated thing on what the commissioners have decided. But yeah, it's gonna be an issue, and for the employees who are working for Newton EMS, hopefully the next service that comes in will hire you and treat you right, and hopefully get you through the transition. Here's the thing I want to talk about from the heart now, and again, jump in anytime, say whatever you want to say. So from the heart. You're going through this transition. You haven't been necessarily fired, right? You've just been told essentially, like from a corporate level, you've been bought out, because at no point are they, it doesn't sound like at this juncture, Piedmont saying at a certain date, we're just going to shut it down. If somebody's here, they're here. If they're not, they're not. Because they legally can say that. I believe they can legally say that. Because they're at this point, as soon as that fiscal year rolls over and the county's not giving them any money, it is now a private operation. Private operations shut down every day. Every day. I worked for one that I went to show up for work, and the door was locked. The gates weren't locked. The door was locked. So private operations are just straight up business. They come and they go. There is, as far as I understand, there is no legal obligation for a private entity like a hospital to provide EMS service. So there could come to that statement, but at this point, I do feel for my friends that do work there, they're not knowing what their jobs are going to do. They're not knowing what's going to happen. The people who have the heart to actually protect the county, the ones who do the job because they believe in helping people, because they believe in change and providing public safety for the county, they're going, I hope they're going, you know what, we're just going to keep doing the job until we get told not to. But at the same time, you got to get paid. And so, when the paychecks stop, they're going to stop doing the job. I would expect them to stop doing the job. But I would expect that if you're doing it for the right reasons, that you're still going to do a great job. You're still going to show up professionally. You're going to have a good attitude when you show up to work. It's going to be extra stressful. It is going to be extra stressful for everybody there because you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. As far as the job, there's things that we can try to compartmentalize in our heads. It doesn't always work, right? It still affects the stress in our lives. The people who have to run it, I don't know who's the director up there anymore. I don't know who all the lieutenants and captains are, but the people who have to run it, they have to do double duty, right? They have to worry about what's going to happen next. They have to worry about the paychecks. There's going to be tons of meetings. Transition period is such a nice word for freaking organized chaos, because I've been through transitions with companies, multiple companies before. And there's always an air of what's going to happen next. Are they going to start laying off people? Are they going to bring in their own people? What are they going to do? No matter what happens, it's going to be a different structure of how things run, right? Right now, when I left Newton EMS, there was a director of EMS that at one time they may have moved to office, but the office was in the EMS quarters. They had a captain for the day, and or I forget the exact title they had, but they had somebody running the day, and you had two crews in the hospital ambulance. You had one crew at the fire station, and so that's 6 non-commissioned people, right? It's a paramedic EMT typically on each truck, 3 trucks running. A supervisor is usually the paramedic on one of the trucks. I think at one point they were trying to get a supervisor vehicle, so they have the supervisor separate to help run backup calls and those kind of things. So you have that stuff going. When somebody comes in, let's say National, because that's the one I'm familiar with. When National comes in, there is no EMS director's position because they already have all that taken care of. So that position, not the person, but that position is gone. And then they have their own trucks they're bringing in. And they do have a captain. They have a shift supervisor. I can't remember what they called that, but they do have a person who supervises the whole shift. For you, now that they've got multiple counties, they've probably branched it off and have different areas that are supervised, and they've grown. But when I was there, it was Rockdale County, Morgan County. That was it. So Rockdale County supervised Morgan and Rockdale together, and then a truck could have a captain on it and those kind of things. That's totally different than the way Newton does it right now, currently. So you do have that worry, right? You do have our pay rate's going to stay the same because legally, nobody has to keep the people there. Are the pay rates going to stay the same? Am I even going to keep my job? These are all things that they're having to deal with, and it sucks that they have to deal with it. My question is, okay, they said it's not going to happen. I don't know exactly what the Newton County fiscal year is, but typically it's July 1st is the fiscal when the fiscal year starts. That's why they made the decision the other day. The way this is handled is so much crap. I hate politics. I hate politics with such a passion. It's not even funny. It's so hard to keep my language clean right now on this show because here's what's going on in general. But I was a part of a conversation in Jasper County when something similar happened when they wanted, the commissioners being they, wanted to change it up. They weren't happy with the EMS service. They wanted to make it different. And it really was just power plays. It was just on the commissioners themselves, who could get the votes and who's manipulating who and who's, you're hurting your people with politics. You're hurting your people with politics. I'm looking forward to what they're going to do with the money. They're going to put the money, that $1.7 million is going into the county's maintenance and operations millage. Now, operations could easily cover firefighters. It could cover police. I don't know because every county has their own terms, their own departments. It's never the same. But I hear county maintenance. And I hear road work. I hear county building upkeep. I hear stuff that has nothing to do with public safety. And I know how people are in politics. I know that they might just take this money and go, oh, yeah, we're going to put $1.7 million, give the firefighters and police officers raises. Well, maybe they squeeze that down to a $600,000 budget for raises for everybody. And then they take the rest of the money and put it wherever they want. Once the money's gone, it's gone. I mean, once it's not earmarked public safety anymore, like that whole amount, $1.7 million, that amount was earmarked 100% for the EMS. So it went to the hospital. Now, the hospital doesn't always spend all of it on EMS. But there are other things that go on with that. But when it goes back into the county's bank accounts, if you will, for them to, into their budget, for them to distribute wherever they want. I am going to make this clear right now. I live in Rockdale County, by speaking to my friends who live in Newton County. If you're going to get involved in any kind of politics and any kind of change, if you were ever looking for a moment that one day maybe I'll stand up for something that's right, now is the time. Go to these commissioner meetings. Listen to what they're saying. Ask the hard questions until you get the answers that you want, whatever those answers might be. But now is the time. Before now actually was the time to pay attention. Now it's a little too late. This is such a mess, man. I hate this for everybody involved, because for the citizens, you have no idea. You literally, because I know I don't. You literally have no idea if you're going to have an ambulance service when this is all said and done. With the news that they're not going to support it anymore, and it doesn't say how long. It says there's currently no date set for the end of the transition period, is what Piedmont has said. I'm looking for the exact quote. Okay, Piedmont Healthcare finalized its affiliation with the former Newton Medical Center in October 2015, indicated at that time that a recommendation made in 2016 on the ongoing operation EMS that did not operate ambulance services. So Piedmont doesn't run ambulance service at any of their hospitals. And I knew that part, actually. I'm looking for the statement on an effective date for Piedmont's termination of support for the EMS has not been determined. County officials last week discussed allocating a sum of money to fund EMS during a transition period. So here's the why I hate politics. Here's the knife twist. Okay, Piedmont came in. I don't know what was going on with Newton County Hospital when it was called Newton Medical Center. Okay, I don't know how much the county funded. I don't know how much was privately funded by insurance and fundraisers or whatever else. Piedmont came in for whatever reason, bought them out. Whether they needed help and needed bailing out, whether Piedmont just made a great offer and said we'd make you a part of the system, and now we can have all this great higher level medicine that the cost is shared across the board. I don't know. But I do know Piedmont doesn't run ambulances on anything. And they made that clear. Maybe this $1.7 million is a doubling of the budget that the county was giving to EMS. I don't know. But the county said that they've been clear they are not going to support EMS. They did not intend to continue to levy millage to support the EMS. That's the direct quote. But then you got to turn around and say they're working on an amount of money to then also give you, which is leveraging the millage, because it's all tax money. So then they have to still give amount of money to help with the transition to whoever's next. Nobody's going to do it for free. The tax money is going to be spent on EMS. So for you to say you've been clear that you do not intend to continue to levy the taxes to support, if this political fight gets super political and it gets ugly, you, the citizens of the county, are going to hurt. Because I can guarantee you that Piedmont ain't in this fight. They will shut down that EMS service if it gets to a point where it's too ugly or too long, because they're not in the business of running an ambulance service. They're in the business of running hospitals. The county, not the EMS office, you dumb person that runs the hospital. The county is responsible for negotiating contracts either with an EMS service themselves or negotiating contracts with, say, Rockdale County, Morgan County, Walton County, and maybe a little bit Jasper County touches Newton there. So you have to negotiate with those counties to have EMS coverage. And it's going to be an interesting negotiation because National EMS has two of the counties surrounding you. Walton, I believe, is still a county-based service. Last time I heard, Jasper County is still a county-based service. And those are three different entities that you're going to have to negotiate with. And none of them are going to cover you for free because they have to prepare for an extra burden of calls. They have to take – Newton County has 3 ambulances, and from what I heard from the medics, they really need 4. They've really talked about needing 4, maybe even 5. Maybe not full-time, but at least 5 daytime ambulances to cover the calls. What other county is going to help you with that? And never for free, because they're footing the bill. So guess what, commissioners? You're going to have to do something. You're going to have to do something. If you've got any more thoughts on that, if you'd like to say something, email us, emsu@gaiems.org. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Or if you're here live right now, watching this live, go ahead and type in the comments channel. Give me stuff that you have questions about. If I can explain it, I'll explain what I understand of it. If you are free to speak on what's going on and you're a part of it, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'd love some more insight. My other topic for today is organ donation. Okay, this was an interesting brought to me by Laura DePuter and somebody else. I don't know if the other person wants their name mentioned because I am going to have something to say here. But somebody posted about it's a picture of somebody buried in the ground holding a kidney, and the tombstone says, "You're not having my kidney." And it's this poem, and I'll go ahead and read it because the it's interesting enough. Give my sight to the man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or the love in the eyes of a woman. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Give my blood to the teenager who was pulled from the wreckage of his car so that he might live to see his grandchildren play. Give my kidneys to the one who depends on the machine to exist from week to week. Take my bones, every muscle, every fiber, every nerve in my body, and find a way to make a crippled child walk. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, and all my prejudice against my fellow man. If by chance you wish to remember me, do it with a kind deed or word to someone who needs you. If you do all I have asked, I will live forever. Robert N. Test is the author of that. And somebody posted it, and then somebody commented that I can tell it was like an immediate comment, it looks like. Yeah. And they said, until their methods change for organ donation, I'm staying off their list, and so is my family. And I'm inflecting here a little bit of anger, a little bit of aggressiveness, because that's kind of what I hear when I read this. But basically, they said that too many times did as a nurse, they saw a donation squad hovering like vultures. Chill out. Okay? Hovering like vultures. Let me tell you, as a paramedic and as somebody who has had multiple family members in ICU, has seen the different processes that happen from the patient standpoint, not just from a professional standpoint, you're wrong. You are inflecting something from your life that they are hovering like vultures. You know what happens when somebody says, yeah, we're going to donate I'm on the donation list. I haven't had any tests in years to see if I still qualify, but on my license, I'm on organ donation, because if I die, I don't need any of my stuff. I don't care. If you can use it, please do, is my standpoint. If my child were to get sick and die, I would be grieving like nobody's business. But I would say, please take what you need. Give it to somebody. And so when you actually go through the steps in the hospital and they draw the blood and they do the extra tests that they have to do while you're still on life support, or not you, the patient is still on life support, and you, the family, have said, yes, by all means, they're organ donors. And they go, yeah, they've got a good heart, they've got a good kidney, they've got a good lungs. They have to move quickly to get it done. Hovering like vultures. Please. Now, I would like to hear from you watching what you think of organ donation. By all means, have your opinions. I really reacted to that statement, hovering like vultures, ready to pounce and rip over people's loved ones. Here's the line that pissed me off. Ensuring there is no chance for recovery. Oh, really? You've been a nurse for so many years. You've been this trauma nurse and this thing, that you believe that anybody in a legitimate hospital can kill somebody just to have their organs. Are you really watching so much TV and so much conspiracy theory? You think there's such a black market or this is even a legitimate market. It's not even a black market. Jesus Christ on a cracker. This person goes on. Being on the receiving end of an organ transplant is a beautiful thing. But being in the position of the donor, very different. Are you honestly willing to take the chance to have your body cut open and harvested from eliminating any chance or a miracle? You know what a miracle would be? Them harvesting all your organs and you still get up and walk. That would be a miracle. Yes, if I'm on life support, I just got so worked up. I hit the desk and knocked over my camera. If I'm on life support, pull the plug. Chances and miracles happen before machinery ever came around. I just saw the camera catch up. You are so selfish and so negative and so fearful and wasteful that you're going to sit here and preach against organ donation. Do you really want to be the person to look the other family in the eye and say, no, screw you, you're going to die because maybe some miracle will happen and my mom will live, even though her body's shutting down, the only reason she's breathing is because the machine's on? What kind of human being are you? What kind of nurse are you that this is your stance? So if you want to take an opposite stance, and I do apologize for yelling, it's just close to me. It hits home. I have never had a transplant of any kind. None of my family members have ever received a transplant of any kind, to my knowledge. No, I take that back. When you're talking about giving blood, okay, you're talking about giving blood, and that's really the stuff where you do the Red Cross, those kind of things. Just giving blood is not usually in an organ donor situation. But my father had something happen. I honestly cannot remember what happened to him, if he got sick or if he got injured, but he lost a lot of blood. And I think it's maybe when I was little. I'm pretty sure I'd been born, but I was a baby or whatever. Lost a ton of blood. He got over the course of the surgery and everything else. So I know how much blood the body holds. But so you're talking about over these hours-long surgery. He got 6 or 8 pints of blood during the surgery to keep him alive while they did the surgery. I think it was a bleeding ulcer or some kind of ruptured ulcer or something. And you're talking about late 70s, early 80s techniques as well. So, but after, they saved his life with blood and surgery. And at the time, modern medicine. Now it's 2017. Modern medicine is even better. My mother-in-law was just in ICU. And the family, her son and daughter, who obviously did not want to lose their mom, knew the truth was she wasn't going to come out of that hospital. And they asked about organ donation. And then what happened after that is not relevant to the story. But even in their grief, even in there, they want everything to happen for mom to come home, for mom to get better. They still talking about what would it take to do organ donation in case this doesn't happen. Holy crap. EMT for 4 years. Well, here's the kicker. I've been an EMT for 4 years, was a trauma nurse for 6, and worked in 3 different states. I can tell you they make it sound like it's a loving thing to do. Now, you're a selfish idiot. Why the hell are you in medicine? Why are you in medicine? This is me talking. Georgia Institute of EMS probably be pissed off that I'm taking such a strong stance, to be honest with you. But I tell you why I got into medicine, to help people. To my core is to help people. Everything I've done through EMT school, through paramedic school, through being a part of a few volunteer fire departments, for being considered a first responder level in one county when I'm off duty because they didn't have the ability to recognize me as a medic. Didn't care. No ego. I did it to help the community I lived in. Every time I put organ donor on my license was to, with my last freaking breath, help the people that are on this planet. No judgments, no disqualifications. You were a trauma nurse, which means the language in that statement says you're not anymore. You've been an EMT for 4 years, depending on how you reference that, because most people who are medics say medics, they don't say EMT. Means you went down to the basic level, which means you probably don't know what the hell you're talking about. By all means, every person needs to make their own decision. And it is your decision to make. If you don't feel comfortable with it, there's some people who don't like the idea of their family member being in somebody else. Do what's right for you. None of that. There is nothing here in the response that this person gave this EMT trauma nurse. There's nothing in the response that they gave that said, I have strong personal feelings because of my family. I've had this experience in life with loved ones. None of that. Everything's from the outside, just watching and interpreting things. By no means do you need. See, I'm responding to somebody who supposedly wants to take care of their community, who became somebody in the medical field to offer help in public safety. Shame on you. Shame on you for taking the time to write 2 paragraphs on freaking Facebook about how much you hate pretty pictures and it's not really that great, and just to have this fear and this ugliness and this resistance to actually do what you became a professional to do, which is to help people. You're talking people, actively trying to talk people out of doing it. I feel like, and feelings are mine, so you may be interpreting me differently. You may be saying I'm trying to talk you into it. And if you feel that way, I apologize. I'm actually saying screw this person and their negativity. I personally think I want to give, without a doubt. But guess what? Guess where the decision lies? If I'm ever in the ICU in a position to give my organs, the position lies in either my wife's hands or my kids' hands. It doesn't lie in my hands anymore once I become unconscious. That's the bottom line. So it doesn't matter how much I want something. I totally get you have to do what's right for you. You have to figure out the path that is right for you, for your family member. My parents are getting older. I was trying to figure out where my story was going to go here. My parents were getting older, and my mom has talked about, actually, since I was a teenager, she kind of talked about this. I don't know what made her think of it. I don't know what she went through. But what she would say to me when I was a teenager, she would say, well, if I ever end up in the ICU, give it, I think it's 2 weeks. She's a very religious person. She's a preacher's wife. She is the one that talks about miracles and what Jesus wants and this and that and the other. She is open to organ transplants. She is open to, if me or my sister ever needed an organ transplant, she'd be right there for it. She's open to giving away her organs. But she says, if I'm ever in ICU, give me 2 weeks, play praise music, play the stuff I like, and pray for me. And at the end of 2 weeks, if there's no change, pull the plug. Okay. I know other people have said, if there's no chance for recovery, if there's no chance to return to a functional, independent life, pull the plug. That is separate. That is 1,000 times separate from organ donation. But I'm telling you, these mindsets, right? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You can have a living will. If your kids decide, or if it's your spouse, if it's your children, I think of death in the sense of older people, right? Parents getting old, maybe one spouse left, who's going to be in charge of making the decision, those kind of things. But whoever's in charge, if they decide not to tell the hospital there's a living will, guess what? There's no living will. If there's nobody to challenge that truth or non-truth, there's no living will. So the second you are out of it, the second you are unconscious and you're on a machine, you got nothing. So it's really up to the people you've instilled love into, the people that you have told your wishes to respect that. Just because I want to be an organ donor, just because I fully believe in helping humanity with my words, with my actions, with my skills when I was a full-time paramedic, just because I believe in that, doesn't mean my kids, whoever, or my wife, whoever's in charge of me when I'm out of it in the ICU, it doesn't mean that they'll want to do that. And here's what I want to tell you. Here's the discussion part of this. There was a rant There was a rant that I responded to. I fought back with it. Definitely, when this show is done, this is live right now. When the show's done, if you want to hear it, go back and listen to it, because this person is shameful. This person should. This is the kind of EMT that I come across that if I'm working full time, I run them out of my system. They will not stick around me for very long, because when you go to be a first responder, when you go to be a firefighter, when you go to be a police officer, when you go to be an EMT-B, EMT advanced, paramedic, nurse, LPN, RN, I mean, there's so many levels there. Doctor, you are signing up for your job, for your duty to take care of people. Not take care of the guys you like, not mistreat the people you hate. You're signing up to take care of humans. Sometimes that actually stretches beyond humans into animals. Every once in a while. I mean, we see, especially now on social media, you see stories of firefighters helping pull a horse out of the mud that would have killed him. Of course, the old adage is the firefighters come get the cat out of the tree. But I mean, stuff like that just happen. Police officers, animal rescue, all that just. Anyway, you're signing up to help the world. And you want to sit here on something that didn't need your damn comments, that didn't need your 2 cents on it. You just randomly wanted to crap on somebody who was sharing something that they believed in. The person who shared this on Facebook, they tagged it #DonateLife. They obviously believe in supporting giving your organs away and helping people. And Laura DePuter, who shared this with me, that's why I feel like I can name her, and I know where she stands on this. She responded to this. I hope I will be well dead when they decide to harvest my organs. Well, technically, you'll be alive, okay? Because you can't harvest dead organs. It won't happen. But you can be legally dead. I mean, yes, Laura. By the time anybody actually decides to do anything with your organs, you'll be wherever you believe you'll be after you're not on this mortal coil anymore. There'll be no responses. You'll be brain dead. Is what will happen. And machines are keeping you alive, because technically speaking, because somebody, oh no, they take your organs when you're alive. Well, that is true. Because you can't take dead organs. You have to have blood. You have to have oxygen. You have to have life in there. So, and there's a very, very small time frame of when you harvest something to when you can get it put in and get back into circulation. There is a time frame. But yeah, they keep your body alive and do a live surgery to harvest the organs, technically speaking. So I did want to touch on that before somebody called me out on, no, they're not dead. No, I get that. My family will have to do what they can. This is Laura still. My family will have to do what they can and make the choices. I haven't seen the slower side of death much, but I know if mine is swift, then I want my organs donated. I will have to update my will to include your information, though. Sad. She put sad. So I'm not sure what information she's going to put in here or whatever. You definitely research it, but I'm going to tell you, it's not about knowledge. When we get into this field of EMS, I'm just going to call it public safety, because that's going to cover everybody who serves their community in a way that protects it. When we get into public safety, it's not because we have all this knowledge about what the job's going to be like and what we know we can do, and we know we can make a difference because of X, Y, Z. Even if you've grown up in a family of firefighters or police officers or medics, and you've seen it all your life, especially if you've done that, then you know there's no guarantees that you can ever change anything. The only knowledge you have, if you have knowledge going into this field, the only knowledge you have is there are no guarantees. You can only do the best you can. So why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? It's because either you're called to it. I mean, you're just born for it. It's what you were born to do. You feel that this is exactly what you need to be doing. It's maybe because it struck a chord in you and you saw that's a place you can serve. It's maybe because you just feel like you can make a difference and have a great career. It can be a very rewarding career. And I've talked many times on EMS Underground here about how we change lives as EMTs and medics, as public safety, is not with our CPR, is never with the tube. Well, I wouldn't say never, but it's very often without the CPR, the drugs, the tubes, the guns, the fire hoses. The way we change people's lives is on a day-to-day conversational investing in human beings way. Because as a medic, I can tell you, I'm making the number up. I don't have actual American Heart statistics, but I can tell you from my personal statistics for being a medic for almost 10 years, probably more than 9 out of 10 CPR. That's the times I do CPR and I intubate and I'm doing all that. 99 times out of 100, they die. I did not change a life there. It's that one time out of the 100 that you can change a life. That's why we do it all the time. Sometimes I did get them to the hospital, and they were resuscitated, only to die a few days later. I have a few save awards. I have a few awards that sometimes they walk out of hospital in one form or another afterwards. Nicole's watching. I know she gets this. We change lives for that diabetic when we push D50. Or we give them saline, whichever way they're going, high or low, and we get them to the hospital. We affect their lives, and that's easy. That's transport. D50 is a drug that EMTs can give, or glucagon, or depending on the situation, right? It's sugar. It's sugar. We're giving them sugar. Sugar. Name that song. When we pick the person up from the wreck that has a broken leg, we can comfort their family. We're changing their family's lives by saying, they're fine. They're going to have a broken leg. We're taking them to the hospital. I have no problems talking to a family and telling them, no, here's what's going on. And because when you don't know, that's the worst. When you don't know what's going on, you just heard your kid or your loved one, your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, whatever. You heard they're in a wreck. You have no idea what that means. Are they dead? Are they ripped apart? Are they paralyzed? Now, obviously, as a medic, you can't give out specific information depending on the situation. But with a kid and it's their parent, I love those moments because they come up panicked. And I go, yeah, absolutely. Come on in. Talk to them. Here's the situation. They're fine. I've done a full exam. Here's what I found wrong. And we're going to go to the hospital. And I can tell you as a parent how much that changes your life right then to know that somebody who knows what the hell they're doing gave you truth. That's where we change lives on a daily basis. So why? Because she talks about this person who posted. I'm sorry. Just don't talk to me. I think you're a horrible person. But don't take my word for it. I hope you do your own research and draw your own conclusions. No, you don't. You just spent 300 words ahead of that saying, don't do it. It's horrible. They're evil. They will kill you. They will take your love. Do you really want to rule out a miracle? Well, you don't believe in miracles if you believe in this crap you're spinning. There's no Jesus for you. There ain't no miracle coming up because all of a sudden you deserve it. With this hatred and this ugly crap you're spinning, there's no miracles for you. And honestly, you believe in heaven? Why would you want to stick around? If I'm in a situation where machines are keeping me alive, and the choice is to keep me alive with machines for another 20 years or to let me go to heaven and somebody else gets my stuff, why would you pick anything else? And I'm speaking specifically to that person. Still, virtual argument here. There's no research you can do that will actually educate you on this stuff. I mean, yeah, you can know. You can know down to the T. You can have a doctor's level knowledge of this is how it's going to go. This is how it's going to work. It doesn't change your heart when you see your mama sitting in the bed and you have to make that decision. When you see your child sitting in the bed and you have to make that decision. Your head, never, ever matters in that situation. Not ever. I've been there. What matters is what you feel. And if you get into EMS, you get into public, I keep saying EMS, but I really am trying to address all of public safety. When you get into any form of service where you put your life on the line, you put your energy, your time on the line, you put your efforts on the line. This can go to the people who volunteer at soup kitchens, this part of what I'm talking about. For the people who could be sitting at home playing their video games, watching TV, being with their family, or they could be earning more money, but instead they donate their time to help, to give back. This applies to you as well. There's no knowledge in the world that gets you there. It makes a difference. It's how you feel about it. It's what makes you feel good in the end that makes us human beings, and it helps us act. And if you would rather, and this is not for the person that posted, this is for everybody who can hear my voice and understand what I'm trying to say here. If you would rather, if it makes you feel better just to keep your mama in one piece, just to keep your child in one, if you just can't make the decision, we get it. And when I say we, I'm speaking for all of humankind, because if somebody doesn't get it, I got your back. I'll beat their ass. I will break them open like a shotgun for you. I get it. If you can't even process that kind of decision, if it's too much, I get it. We hit those moments. That's why there's PTSD groups. That's why there's counseling groups. We hit those moments quite often in public safety of just this thing happened. I saw a post, I think it was here on Georgia Institute of EMS last week, that some of the EMTs had gone through our course, I think it was, or I'm not sure where the source was, but basically they had run, holy crap, I mean, it was like 6 arrests. I think 4 of those were traumatic arrests or something like that, and lost them all. I mean, that's a lot to deal with in a day. Just physically. Doing CPR is almost never less than 30 minutes for one person. I mean, the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, you might not be doing CPR yourself for 30 minutes, but minimum, my experience has been minimum 30 minutes you're with the patient, usually longer than that, even at the hospital. So you figure just minimum 30 minutes per call, that's 3 hours of hardcore CPR, life-saving, adrenaline's kicking in. You're physically exhausted. And depending on your emotional state, now you've lost 6 patients that you tried your hardest to fend off death, and you couldn't do it. And you might be dealing with that emotionally and mentally. And it's a tough place to be. I've been there too. It's a really tough place to be when you just go, I just need this day over with. I just need to sleep. I just need to F the world, go home, sleep, and then kiss my wife and hug my kids, in that order. Knowledge doesn't help there. Knowledge will get you nowhere. Research, making your own decision. Now, it might lead to some decisions. It might lead to you going, you know what? This isn't for me anymore. It might lead to you taking a break. And some people, it's just mechanics. For me, for the most part, it's just mechanics when I did CPR and intubation and all that. I got one save directly that I know of in a kid in that situation. And that time made me feel good. That time I was emotionally invested because as a kid and the situation that was going on and other stuff that played into it pushed me out of my it's just mechanics mode into more of an emotional mode. But we did save that kid's life. He's still alive today. And it was a trauma arrest. And trauma arrests are more likely to be saved than cardiac arrests, in my opinion. I could be absolutely speaking against statistics. We're talking about feelings here. And I feel like, in my mind, in my world, traumatic injury happens and you have a heart attack, your heart still, unless it's been shot as part of the trauma or stabbed, your heart's still in great shape. So we can keep it alive until we fix other stuff. And that's a better chance of keeping you alive, as opposed to medically induced cardiac arrest, which usually comes from obesity, from age, from drinking, from not taking care of yourself, kidney failure, diabetes not being taken care of. I mean, you name it, there's a million reasons you have a medical heart attack. And those million reasons, you have to fight all of them, or at least all the ones that apply to the patient. Your chances are lower. I do encourage everybody to donate your organs, 100%. I definitely encourage that. I say put your kids on an organ donor list, not live donor list. That's a whole different ball game. Okay, live donor lists still applies here, right? It still says I might help out a stranger. I want to say this is my life, this is my health. I'll submit myself to some tests, And if some stranger somewhere in the world that hits your system needs my kidney or whatever, then I'll do it. Bone marrow, blah, blah, blah. That's phenomenal. And that's a whole different level than what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about when your personal body is dead and you're not going to use it anymore. Why? For your own personal decision, why wouldn't you give it away to somebody who can? When it's a loved one, I want to touch back on this, and then I'll wrap up. Again, comments, questions, if you got anything else to say about this. Thank you, Nicole, for all the hearts and likes. And I try to speak the truth, but I can only speak it from my standpoint. So as we talked about earlier with Piedmont Newton, with EMS going away from the hospital in a very sudden turn of events, I have very little information from the inside. So if you've got something to share while I'm still in the air, I'd love you to share that, and we'll talk about it. When it comes to donating organs, and you've got something to share legitimately, by all means, share it. But here's my point to the ones who have to decide for somebody else. Being a paramedic, I react to things differently. Being born to handle being a paramedic, I react to things differently. My wife says I'm a little too disassociated from society. I don't give a crap about pleasantries. I'd be swearing all kind of four-letter words right now on this show, except I've agreed, because it represents the school, to keep it PG-13 or PG. I've agreed to do that because I understand I am not the only one in the school. I understand that the school has a certain moral code that it wants to uphold for the students and for the teachers while they're in the school. There. I'm telling you, for my own personal use, it makes no difference. I can say, you tried your hardest. I can say other words. Personally, it's fine. I've seen my children hurt. My kid disappeared on me one day at the fire station. Of all places, I was at Jasper County Fire Station up by the lake, if you're familiar with that. And the way that one's set out, there's a little office to the side for the firefighters. The trucks sit, in the bays. There's an office. And then the stairs go up, and the EMS, where we stayed, was upstairs. And there's a pool table and an area to hang out in. And my first son, Oakland, he was between 2.5 to 3. He was a toddler, but I don't believe we had Crosby yet. We had Crosby. Actually, no, we had Crosby when he was 18. So we must have had Crosby. Aaron must have been holding Crosby. But Oakland was old enough to toddle and kind of be around on his own. And I'm very much the parent that keeps an eye on the kids. Even at a firehouse, we're supposed to be safe. I'm just watching. I'm watching. And all of a sudden, I talked to my wife for a minute, and I looked around for him, and he wasn't there. And I called for him, and nothing. And instantly, I start to freak out. Because I'm like, and my mind's like, how the hell did he disappear in a tiny fire department? This can't be. But the parent in me is going, where's my kid? Well, he'd gone into the firefighter's office, which was a big glass door. It pushed open, so he had enough weight to push it open, but he couldn't pull it open. And, of course, he's not loud enough to make a voice to come through the glass or the walls. And, it took me probably 3 seconds to find him. But I freaked out. That was just when he might be missing, where it was irrational. There's no way he could have disappeared. There's nobody around to take him. There's nowhere for him to go. And for a toddler, we're 10 miles from the road. The way he walks and how slow he was, it would take him forever to get to the road. So there's no way he's out there. So all this rational stuff's happening, but the heart was, where's my kid? So when I say, without a shadow of a doubt, if my kid's in ICU, and there's no chance of recovery, I'm absolutely giving as many organs as I can to other children who need them, to give parents what I can't have. And even now talking about it, I feel myself getting sad, and I feel the teariness coming up on me, picturing the situation. Because I can tell you, as a father, with my kid in the bed needing a kidney, needing an eye, needing something. Eyes are whatever you want to talk about eyes. Because I don't think about eyes as being life-saving things. But needing something life-saving, like a kidney, or a heart, or lungs. As a father of the child who needs that, I'd be desperate to get it. So as a father of somebody, as much as my loss would hurt, and even in the fictional thinking about it, it's hurting me now. As much as my loss would hurt, I would absolutely give that to somebody else so they don't have to hurt. So they never have to sever, or at least suffer at that point. So I can be the miracle that you're so afraid you can't get, that you're like, oh my God, to the last second there, they will die and the machines can't even keep them alive. There could be a miracle. That you can be the miracle for somebody else. And that's what I do encourage you to do. But absolutely, first, you have to be okay. And we'll bring it back to EMS and we'll be done here. Because in EMS, the first rule of scene safety, right? Take care of yourself first so you can help others. And if you're in the situation where you're a decision maker for your loved one, take care of yourself first. There's no guilt. There's no judgment if you can't even process the possibility of organ donation. It's okay. There's no judgment or no guilt if you just go, that just feels wrong to me. I just can't do it. That's okay. But while I have you now, when you're clear thinking and you're rational, I will put this argument in your head. Those organs that, if they're viable, let's assume they are, those organs that can change somebody else's life, give life. You could literally breathe life into somebody else by giving them lungs of your loved one. I strongly encourage you to do that, to change somebody else's world, because otherwise they're just going to be burned or buried and rot. And if they're viable, please help, because you can be the miracle. And Nicole says, when I die, they can have whatever organs they want except my eyes. I don't want to bump into people as I'm walking towards the light. That's a good one. I think I've heard that before. That's still, you got me. You got me on that one. That's funny. And that's where we are with EMS, right? We have that sense of humor. So I'm going to leave it there. Take care of yourself. It's okay. But think if you're in EMS, if you're in public safety, part of you is already thinking of your fellow man. And if it's not, you are absolutely in the wrong field. Period. If you're not thinking of your fellow man, if you're not there to take care of somebody else, no matter what the other person is doing. And we've talked about that on this show, about the guy who ran over the kids. And it turned out he had a brain disease. But the guy who ran over the kids at McDonald's, there are people who weren't there who were like, I wouldn't have helped him. I would have let him die right there. Blah, 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 blah. It's not your job. It's not your duty. Your duty, if you choose to accept it, as public safety, is to give help to everybody who needs help. There's never a deserve in any of the training that we do, in any of the continuing education that we do, and any of the oaths that we swear. There's never a deserve in there. So that's where I'll leave you today. Thoughts go out again to Newton County and to all the employees at Newton EMS who have an unsure future, and definitely to the citizens of Newton County who you don't know if you're going to have an ambulance service. I believe you probably will. I believe you will have an ambulance service because that's, unless, man, here's the scenario. It is 80 to 90% sure you'll have some kind of ambulance service because the political ramifications of the county just saying, nope, we're not going to do it. Oh, my God, I hope you riot, and I hope you get everybody out of office instantly. Because you've had a service there. According to this article, there's been an ambulance service in that county for more than 40 years. Maybe longer, because it said, the hospital said that EMS had been financially supported by the county for more than 40 years. So the ambulances actually could have been there before that. I don't know. With that wording, I don't know exactly what it references. But for over 40 years, for longer than I have personally been alive, there's been an ambulance service in Newton County. So if for whatever reason the commissioners just say, we're not going to pay for crap, we're just not going to do it, get them out and speak your mind. And to my firefighter and police brothers and sisters in Newton County, stand by your EMS brethren. I want you to have a raise. I want you to get paid, but you need to send a message to the commissioners canceling heart attack stopping. Well, that's not stopping. I talked about the saving stuff. I'm being over dramatic, but canceling the third leg of what is the traditional public safety, fire, police officers, EMS, they work together. Take away one of those legs, you need to be standing with your medic brethren and sisters as well to say to the county, yeah, we want to raise, but this is the stupidest way to go about doing it. And I hope it all works out. I don't live there. I have no political say in whatsoever. So I'll just kind of stir you on to go do what you feel is right. Honestly, if you want to stand against the EMS, it's your life, it's your health. You make your stand. All right, that's what we do here on EMS Underground. We talk about the things most people don't talk about. We come at it in a way that most people don't come at it. I am Charles McFall. Tom and I are going to work out a new day of the week to do this live so that he will have a better chance of being with me, because that's where the week comes from. I've been doing it solo for the last couple of weeks, but the week comes from Tom and I do this together. And he would have actually had a little more insight on how the politics work, on how the money works that I don't have, unfortunately, today. So you only got my side of it. But we do this every week. We'll find out what the new day is, but until we get together and announce it on this page, we will put on Georgia Institute of EMS on Facebook. Hey, we're going to do EMS Underground on whatever day of the week and whatever time. We'll announce it there. So subscribe to the page, like the page. It'll let you know when I'm live. You see the emails right there, emsu@georgiaiems.org. emsu@gaiems.org. You can call for class information, 678-561-2368. And actually, real quick, I am going to go and see what the class schedule coming up is. I know we're just finishing up the is it .com? I think I typed it wrong. We're just finishing up the 5-week EMT-B course, and that was part of why Tom couldn't be here for the last couple of weeks, because he's teaching, as far as I can tell, he's teaching at least a good portion of that class, and you're talking about 5 days a week, 5 weeks in a row. But he said the class is going super well, and it's jumping out there. What was that? What was that? There was a slider that had something going on there. So let's see. We've got, here it is, it loaded. Wednesday, July 12th, EMT orientation starts. July 13th, advanced EMT orientation. So you still have a little less than a month. If you want to get your EMT-B or your AEMT, you can sign up for classes right now. That's what that phone number is, 678-561-2368. And we've got the combo course, EMT/AMT combo course, starting up August. So those are the classes that are coming. And there was some announcement here that I wanted to look at, but there it goes. Come on. Slide through. Show me. Why I hate this thing. All right, that's going to be it for today. I am Charles McFall. Check out more of what I do at charlesmcfall.com. You can check me out there. I do all kind of podcasting stuff. Some of it's safe from work, some of it's not. So listen at your own experience. And I will catch you sometime next week.